Oh, and I'm recording. This is so fun. Okay. Hi, everybody. Don't mind us while we try to navigate this freaking technology. So, of course, I'm Elizabeth Overton. This is my page. And Luke Seaward, Brian Luke Seaward. You go by Luke, right?
Yep.
And you are for sure one of my favorite teachers of all time. And I took your course, Holistic Stress Management Certification, in 2013. And I've never looked back. I just love your teachings. You taught me a lot of about energy, and your instruction certification is one of the best investments I've made in my nursing career and also in my personal life. So I want to thank you for your wisdom. And so we talked about, getting on here and talking about staying above the fray. So you're going to share with us some what you know and some things that might help people navigate this crazy earth school we're in right now in this time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, Elizabeth. First of all, thanks. It's great to be back. When this all began about almost 2 months ago, I was out walking the dog and I thought to myself, we're going to need like a template to help us kind of navigate this, because there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. And the first thing I could think of was that this is all about adaptation. And I love the expression above the fray, because there is a lot of fray going on right now, and we don't want to be caught in it. We don't want to be caught in the negativity. We want to be above it. And so for those in the audience who know this, it's a good reminder. For those who don't, it's a good message that we're in a shift of consciousness right now. And the shift is a big one, and it's from fear to love. And the fray is fear, and we want to rise above that and come from a place of love and compassion. So I was thinking to myself, the real big message here is, how do we adapt? Because anytime there's some really big changes, we have to adapt. And what I typically say in class and workshops is that people don't like change. Change is synonymous with stress, and especially change they can't control. But it's interesting enough, if you look to see who survives and thrives in the face of stress, they will tell you they have adapted. And adapt is another word for change. So it's kind of funny, people don't like change, but yet if they can change and adapt in a good way. And there's bad ways, with self-medication and God knows what, addictions and stuff. But we want to talk about the good side. Then we're doing much better. And so I made up this template of about 7 points that I thought I'd share. And again, it's all common sense. What I typically say is that everything you're going to hear is something you've already heard before, because it's common sense. But a huge caveat: when people get stressed, common sense is not too common. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you.
I love that. And of course, since I'm a little bit more awakened than I used to be, I'm very attuned to the energy of numbers. And I think it's interesting that you have the number 7 in your framework or your structure. So
yeah, lucky number 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 notes the musical scale, 7 chakras. Yes, I'm sure this was divinely guided, and I'll take it. And as with all the stuff I do, I have a big team of I'm going to call it spirit guides, angelic realms that guide me along here. I like to say that I did this on myself, but I know better. One of my colleagues and one of my favorite role models is Jean Houston, and she said, when she's writing a book, she goes, "I didn't channel this stuff." She goes, "I fought for every word." And there's times when I feel like that too, but I also know that I'm getting downloads, as you call them. I think it's great. So anyway, you want to start with the first one?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is whenever there's a change, there's always going to be some grieving. So I said the first stage is healthy grieving. By the way, I got a slide I'll send you afterwards. We can tack it up there with this in case people want to see it. But we've got to have some grieving. I was out doing some errands before we did this presentation, and I saw people going through with their face masks in the post office, and you can see some grumblings going on and things, and people have lost some of their freedoms. We don't have quite the freedom we had before, and this may not be a bad thing. We want to actually pull the reins in so that we don't lose people when due to this virus. But the same token, we don't want to be oblivious to the fact that we have lost some things, and we want to do some healthy healthy grieving. Now, healthy grieving, this could be a whole presentation upon itself, but healthy grieving is to acknowledge that indeed we've lost some things, and then work through it and then move on. And with grieving, there can be some anger. We've seen that in the headline news. There can definitely be some anxiety. We've seen that in the headline news. I told myself I behave and not mention names, but they provide for so many great examples. So grieving is very, very important, and healthy grieving is that. I mean, and what happens? How do I distinguish this between unhealthy grieving? Is that unhealthy grieving, you kind of get stuck in a mindset of victim consciousness, poor, pitiful me, and then that just kind of perpetuates in the whirlpool of negativity, and you can't get out. So healthy grieving is to say, yeah, I'm bummed, I shed a tear, I'm frustrated, and then realize that this is not the way you want it to remain. You want to move out of this. So the next stage is called acceptance. I call this moving on to, and to accept what we can't change. And we can't change the fact there's a virus here. We can't change the fact that we've got lockdowns and slowly being released back to, the new normal, whatever that is. But we can actually accept our own thought processes with how we take responsibility. A large part of this is really its responsibility. So moving on is important, not to get stuck. And I think when we see people who are doing the victim consciousness, and I'm not going to go into details, but that is covering a multitude of sins there. They're stuck. They're stuck because they want things the way they had it before, as opposed to realizing this is a step toward something better, really. And nobody wants to be responsible for someone else dying, passing germs and stuff. I thought as I came back to the post office, I thought, great, we're going to have everyone in the world be a bunch of germaphobes. So I was talking to my my wife, and she was talking to her cousins, and they have 3 kids, and these kids are all under the age of 7, and they're terrified to go outside for fear they're going to catch some germ and die.
Oh.
And I thought, golly, that's horrible. So, so we got to move on. Stage number 3 is to stay grounded. And this is what you and I do. We teach techniques to people, coping, relaxation, so that they don't get blown over by the winds of change. So yoga is a great thing. Tai Chi is great. Meditation, mindfulness are great techniques to stay grounded, so that when we hear some bad news, like hypothetically, and I hope it's hypothetically, the postal service collapses and we no longer have mail, or the banking system collapses, we don't have that, or United Airlines decides not to fly, or no airlines decide to fly, we don't just crumble by the weight of the exhaustion of change. That we can actually navigate through that. So we got to stay grounded. And, it's kind of funny. We have some strong winds here in Colorado, and they blow things, but the trees stand strong. And that's our message, is to stand strong, like trees or like mountains. Wink, wink, wink. The next one I have is called Access Your Resources. This is actually what's known with people who've gone through things like car accidents or cancer. When you realize that your life is dramatically changed, what resources can you get your hands on? It could be people, it could be money, it could be funding, it could be anything. We want to, in this case, make sure we do have access to resources, and we want to kind of like count our blessings with that and make sure that, but we also want to check and see what our blessings are. The next one is to create good strategies. I learned something, maybe you've learned this too, when not to go grocery shopping. On Saturdays, the lines are very long. You have to wait outside. And I'm thinking, like, I could have, why did I think Saturday was the day to go? So you've got to create good strategies. And also that could include things like, some new meal ideas. We don't want to get stuck into the same 3 meals we have every time, just kind of rotate through those. And we don't want to get stuck into always ordering out food too. I mean, that's good, but not every night. Number 6 stage is to evaluate the progress. Now, how are we doing with all this? And if we're not doing good, then let's check in and see why. Kind of do an emotional barometer check too, but let's evaluate the strategies and the progress here. And I can tell you right now, there are some people who are backstepping. They're back switching here because they're caught in the negativity, the victimization of it. Mm-hmm. And the last stage, you'll like this, and we're going to do this next time we get together. We're going to celebrate our success. And so, so we check and see what our successes are. Do we have a new idea for dinner? My wife and I just came up with a new idea, and that was pad thai. We made that last week. Oh my God. I mean, we like to eat a Thai food. We never thought to make it, but you can make it. And it came out really great. We made quiche, which I like to put in Kalamata olives. Oh my God, that tastes so good. So we celebrate our successes. My wife made some cookies yesterday, and we actually gave those to some of our neighbors who have been kind of housebound. So that was kind of fun. So
Oh.
to celebrate our success. So just to kind of recap, do some healthy grieving, number one. Number two, acceptance, and then move on. Number three, stay grounded in the winds of change. And boy, they can be strong. We got more coming. Number four says access your resources. What are your resources? Get your hands on those. Know what those are and know how to use them too. And number five says create good strategies for how you navigate from day to day. And then evaluate your progress, number six. And then last but not least, celebrate your successes, as small as they may be. That you do get 8 hours of sleep, celebrate it. That you do get outside nature and get some sunlight on your skin. That is a important strategy, and to celebrate that too.
Okay, I love these. So these are the kinds of things that were coming up when you were talking. So you have something called BMW. I think it's worth talking about. This whole idea of not getting stuck in victimhood mentality. And so the BMW is bitch, moan, and whine, right? It's important to emote, to express our anger, our grief, our frustration, and then move on, right? Like keep going. So that's what that reminded me of.
I would even say, if you have to, clean up the mess and then move on. Because sometimes when you cathart and you get angry and bitch, there can be some mess to clean up. You may have to apologize. And sometimes I do that too. I'm like, if I just talk to somebody on the phone, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not mad at you, but I'm a little upset. And then we both laugh, and then we can move on.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like, I don't mean like outwardly bitch to someone else, but maybe like, wah, wah, this is so whatever, right? The emotion you're experiencing.
Yeah.
The one about the grounding, we're seeing this in the research and everything, like trees have heartbeats, and go hug a tree. Like Molly Shannon in that movie Superstar, where she's like kissing the tree. Like putting your arms around a tree is one of the most cathartic healing things you can do as a human, especially right now, because trees, they have a lot of wisdom to share with us. And I just invite people that are watching this to just try that and let us know what happens. Because I mean, remember that book, The Giving Tree?
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite metaphor stories of all time. I can't read it without crying. Anyway.
Also, I would tell you that try, and if you can, find a hardwood tree. There's softwood and hardwood trees. The hardwood trees seem to have a better ability to exchange energy, as I'm told.
Wow. I don't even know like the difference between a soft tree and a hard tree. Like
oak is a hardwood.
Okay.
The pines are soft.
Okay.
You can Google it too. Like I think maple may be it's kind of like in between those two, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Oak is definitely hard.
Okay. The things you never knew. Like who knew? And then the other, let's see, the last one. Oh yeah. Like I feel like celebrating. I feel like the only purpose of a rearview mirror in a car is to see how far you've come, right? It's like, it's so easy. Humans are so good at pointing out why we suck, what we've done wrong. And it's like, wait a minute. The opposite is also true. Like, look how many times you've gotten up after you got knocked down. Look how many times you picked yourself up. And it's like, I feel like, this word failure is like, as long as you're trying, you can't possibly fail. And if you are failing, fail forward. Like, just keep going,
Yeah. There used to be, I don't know if it's still being taught, but University of Arizona had a class called Failure 101. And it was, I think, in the School of Business. And these people had to actually create products that nobody would buy. and then they had to present them to class. And what they realized was that some of these things that they thought were horrible, other people thought were great. And even if you think you try to fail, you can actually succeed in not failing. Does that make sense? It's pretty cool.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's a really important concept. I love that.
And
Let's tell people, you know, if people like your mojo, they like this kind of information, let's tell people about your course.
yes, I teach a 4-day workshop in person on how to teach stress management. I know you have a lot of health educators, nurses, allied health professionals who are watching this. And it turns out that because of what had happened, I needed to learn to adapt. And everyone been asking me for years to put this thing online. And I'm like, no, I really prefer the in-person, approach here. But then I got forced to put this online. So I pre-recorded a number of lectures or presentations. I guess lecture is too strong a word, about art therapy, about meditation, mindfulness, about energy medicine. Everything that we had for modules all kind of got put into a recorded Zoom presentation. And then we're going to have some live Zoom classes too, so people actually feel as if they're part of something, of a group there. But starting May 20th, this is all going to be online. And rather than just saying, do it on your own, I wanted to have a block of time that people could actually have the freedom to watch these, but also have the knowledge that we're also in a time period to be in a group and ask each other questions, because I am not the be all end all of information. There's a lot of wisdom to be culled from all of us. And so right now we got about, I think 12 people signed up, and we have like another 3 or 4 weeks to go before we actually start this. That we'll probably get a few more people. And already people are saying, I wish it was in person. I understand why it can't be. So I appreciate you doing this, and I can't wait to be part of this as well. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. And it's continuing education credits for nurses, right?
Yeah, 54. That's a big chunk.
I know. Listen, it took me a while to do the assignments because 54 credits is a lot of work. However, I was so excited the day that you sent me the package of my work and that I had been granted the certification and the hours. And again, it was I've taken a lot of things in my 22 years as a nurse, and hands down, this is always my favorite investment because it's helped me personally and professionally. And it's part of why now I'm an entrepreneur and doing this work. So thank you, Luke.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. My God, thanks for being a bright light in the planet.
Yes. Well, this has been so helpful. If people want to get in touch with you, where should they go?
My website is probably the best place, so it's brianlukeseaward.net, BrianLukeseaward, just like it sounds, brianlukeseaward.net. If you just Google my name, it'll come up, the first thing that comes up there. And then I have on the menu all the different things to comb through, whether it's the store to buy some books or the list of presentations. I got to change my calendar, Elizabeth, because so many things have been canceled. Like all these conferences canceled.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a little dated. I got to go back there and clean that up. But anyway, you'll get a good laugh out of that. I should probably just put like rescheduled. I have this trip to Ireland next year, actually this June, that got postponed to next year now because Ireland is shut down still. And I just hope that we're going to go through some major changes. I mean, talk about grieving. A lot of businesses are not going to make it. We're going to see a whole metamorphosis of how we approach life, which I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But there's just some bumps in the road to get there for sure. So anyway, Ireland's going to be next year. But what has not changed, maybe hopefully I'll see you there. We're back on for Vail this October for the Fall Mountain Retreat. And unless, we get hit by a meteor, I'm planning on that being a live event.
The Vail, the Somnol Nap Resort in Vail, Colorado. Vail is one of the most magical places on planet Earth. And the Somnol Nap, listen, it's like royalty going there. So that's amazing. And I do just want to make this one more plug about the course, is that your private Facebook group for the alums is, when you do something like this, even if it's virtual, you make these I call them soul connections. I was just on a call today with one of my soul sisters that was at your Liz from in Vale, and we're helping each other write a book. So it's like
Nice.
these connections are they're lifelong.
Yeah.
It's
It's our
awesome.
tribe. It's our tribe.
Tribe, total tribe. So thank you for your time and your wisdom. Tell Chris I said hello. It's Timber, right?
Cedar, but it turns out
Cedar.
that he's no longer with us. We had to find him a different home. It didn't quite work out. And there was someone else who thought they could do a better job. He had some health issues and some behavioral issues that he needed more time than what we could give him. So we decided to give him back to the adoption place, and we're waiting for our next canine.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, I'm sure that's been a transition, and it's all, for the highest good. And so
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Luke. It's always fun hanging out with you.
Likewise. Thanks, Elizabeth. It's great seeing you. And I'll be glad to help you out with the book if you need like a endorsement or a forward or something like that. Keep me in mind, okay?
Oh my God. Hello. Okay. Okay. Amazing. All right. I'm going to stop this live. I guess I just have to end the I was calling this Marco Polo. All right. I guess I'm going to stop